Welcome back, everybody.
I'll be honest, I was super confused at your countdown
Why?
because you said you're going to record, and you went, and I was like, is he just counting? And I didn't know.
No,
I hit the record button real quick because
I was getting my mouse over there with the button. So yeah, Brian came along and helped on a stream. We did just a quick stream to show how to sort the stuff correctly.
That's not sorting.
What do you mean?
That is transferring.
Well, no. If you go,
Wait, there's more above?
yeah, go up here.
I was just like, this is just a ladder of items.
And then up here,
This is how you sort, top to bottom.
like the left one would be sorting chest technically, and then the right one would be sorting stone.
Yeah, and then
like over here is where you would put stuff in. Like we have to expand all of this aspect of it, and then that's the overflow chest all the way at the end there.
And then
it's like if you put stone in the big chest over here, it would get sorted, and it would come down this line and be in this chest right here.
But what if you put like wood?
Well, it's not. This is not done. This is
no, I understand that, but what's going to happen to all these lines down here?
What do you mean?
Oh, you got to expand this out as well.
Yeah. This is sorting two items right now, stone.
Okay.
And
I was like, I don't know how you put like everything in that chest, and it comes to the bottom into those like sorted barrels.
Oh no. Yeah, no.
So
right now,
a new method I've never seen.
Right now, everything for the most part, unless it was chests or stone, would go to the overflow chest. This was just proof of concept, so that I knew exactly how to do it, so I could do it on my own, basically.
So it just takes a little bit of iron, right?
Yeah. Where is the thing that tells you what you're looking at?
Just a wee bit. We need like an iron golem farm.
Ah, yes. Dead coral. That's what that is. Dead horn coral fan.
Good was very concerned at
it looks like a little bird nest.
What this was.
It's like a bird's going to make a nest in here.
Yeah, a dead bird's nest.
Yeah. All right. So I
took the plunge, man.
You went on a plane like a crazy man.
I went on a plane.
So what was that like?
So, it's so funny to say because it was everything that traveling should be.
Because there wasn't anybody there, basically.
It was like at the airport, and the airport wasn't empty. It just wasn't full. And the planes were pretty damn empty. That would have been a little bit excessive to be like, expect that all the time. But it was just nice. There was no crowds. Like, it's what I always wish flying would be like. Yeah. But of course, airlines would just go out of business. That's right. What flying was like. I will tell you that the one thing that really bothered me was when I got to the airport. So I went to, for those familiar, I flew out of Baltimore, Washington International, so BWI Airport. There's 5 terminals there. The A, B, and C terminal are all connected on the back end. So you go through like any of like 3 security checkpoints, the A, B, or C terminal, and you can get to all the terminals from there. The D and E terminals are separated. And that's always driven me nuts because, of course, my priority pass is a lounge that's only the D and E terminals, and hardly any flights that I take ever go out of the D and E terminals. So it's annoying I never get to use the lounge over at that place. But usually fly out of A, B, or C. So I walk in and I look to the right and from the door, and I can see all the gates at the A terminal are down. And I knew that they were going to be limited in like doing TSA stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, A terminals are down. So I walked over past the B terminal. And I look, and all the lines are taped off, but the one gate is up there, and all the lines are taped off. And there's a sign next to it, which I have seen numerous times flying in general, especially when you take like later early flights when there's not a lot of flights going out at the same time. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just came up here. I need to go somewhere and get iron, and I just don't know where to go to get more iron.
You just need to go find more caves, I guess.
Yeah, I just need to go find more cave. There's a sign that says this checkpoint is closed for passengers. Proceed on to the C terminal. And like I said, I've seen that many times before. So as I'm walking by, I look, and there's like the TSA pre-check line, and it's got the tape over it, and it's got the normal customer line, and it's got the tape over it, and the only line that's open has the big sign that says crew and employees only. And I'm like, okay. So I walk over to the C terminal. and all the gates are closed. And I'm just like, wait, what? This doesn't make any sense. And I asked some guy who's just sitting like around doing nothing. I was like, hey, which terminal's open? And he's like, oh, you got to go all the way down to the end. The one's over in D&E. And I was like, but the D&E terminals don't connect over to the rest of it. He's like, yeah, that's the only one that's running though. Yeah, so you got to go and they'll get you to where you need to go. And I'm like, that doesn't make much sense to me. But I start walking down there anyway. And I'm walking over there and I run into some like about halfway there. I'm like, this is like just not where I'm supposed to go. Like, I know this is not where I'm supposed to go. And I see some flight attendants sitting down in like a corner. And I was like, which terminals are open for the B terminal? Because that's where I was flying out of. And she was like, oh, the A terminal is the one that should be open right now. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I was like 100% sure it was closed, but maybe I didn't look at it enough. Maybe one of the gates was open and I just wasn't paying attention. So I walk all the way back down, passing the B terminal again, and I'm re-looking at all these signs, and I'm like, okay, clearly it's not the B terminal because it's for employees only. I'm just gonna walk down to the A terminal. I walk down to the A terminal, the A security line, and I look, and every single gate is just completely shut down and closed. I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. So I walked up to one of the Southwest people, because he walked right by the Southwest counter, and he just goes, oh, yeah, the B terminal is the one that's open. I said, yeah, but the sign says it's only for crews and employees. And he basically shrugged his shoulders. He's like, I don't know. I don't do TSA. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So I walk up to the B terminal, and the whole time I'm in the airport, nobody's going through any security. So nobody's gone through anywhere, but there's like 2 or 3 people like just wandering back and forth. The front's empty. My flight was at 10:15 at night. So it was like the last flight leaving the airport anyway. So nobody's there. And I walk up to the B terminal and I just look at the lady that's at the only TSA person that's, sitting around. And I said, look, are you open? Or what's the deal? And she's like, yeah, we're the only terminal that's open right now. And I said, for crew members or for passengers? And she was like, oh, well, for both. And I said, because you realize, and I pointed to a sign, I said, that sign says that this is closed and you have to go to the C terminal. And that sign that I just walked down says this is for crews and employees only. And she's like, yeah, that's the crew and employee line, and points to like the one that's next to me. And I said, no. That you see that it's closed at the end. Like, you can't even get through that one. It's closed. And she goes, yeah, there's not many people here, so it's really confusing right now. And then it's like all she says. And I was like,
oh my God.
Okay. So I walk in and I'm TSA pre-check, but I kind of know that they're not running TSA pre-check because, it's like there's so few people there. But I did find out that at this airport, though I had to do this on the way back, I just gave him my ID. They scanned the ID, and I went to pull out my boarding pass, pull it up on my phone, and she's like, oh, no, I don't need that. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I have it right here. Huh. Apparently, it's all through the real ID system now. They just pull up your boarding pass right from just scanning your ID, which I thought was crazy. Maybe it's only for pre-check people. I have no idea, but it was weird. I didn't have to show this lady my boarding pass at all because I already had that information. I was like, that's pretty damn cool. And then as I start walking through, she yells to the people in the back. She goes, TSA pre-check coming through. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like, maybe they're doing like something pre-check still. And I get up to the thing, and the guy's like, yeah, take all your laptops out of your bag. If you have any laptops and tablets, and take them out of your bag. And I was like, but I'm TSA pre-check. Like, she just yelled that to you. And he was like, yeah, you're TSA pre-check, but we're not running TSA pre-check, so your items are not.
What the fuck does that mean?
I was like, okay. Like, sure. And I said, so do I have to take off my shoes and my belt and stuff? And he's like, no, you're TSA pre-check.
But my fucking shoes aren't.
I don't understand this at all. So I got to keep my shoes and my belt on, but I had to take my laptop and my tablet out and put them in separate,
oh my God, that makes no fucking sense at all.
Whatever. Still, it took 30 seconds to go through the check. So I walk up to the gate, and I still have 45 minutes before my flight because it took after finding the security gate, it took no time at all to get through.
Right.
And if you've never flown Southwest,
nope.
So Southwest does that open boarding where it's based on how early you checked in, what your boarding pass number is.
Yeah.
And you can get either in the A 1 through 60, B 1 through 60, or C 1 through 60. And they reserve A 1 through 15 for for like their elite passengers and this and that. People have status with them, and you can buy your way into A1 through 15.
Yeah.
And after that, it's a little bit fuzzy on what they do up to A30. But then after A30, it's like the amount that you've checked in. Well, I checked in and I was A31. So I was like, am I like the only person on this plane? Like, because I don't know exactly where they start this whole thing going at, but I'm A31, like whatever.
Yeah.
Early in the boarding process, no matter how many people are there. So I get up to the gate, and the lady, when she says that they're going to start boarding, she literally says, and there's only 27 people on this flight, so you guys all should have boarding numbers within like the A1 through 20. So everybody's line up on the left side of the stanchions, which are for A1 through 30 on the left side, and then the A31 through 60 are on the right until they go to the B area. And I was like, what, huh? This lady doesn't understand how her own airline like boards. And so then it just became a free for all. When she said that, everybody with whatever number just fucking walked up in the line and started checking in, and nobody there was no numbers. And I was like I'm so low in the thing. I'm like, I want to get my exit seat, like I earned this. And a guy like literally just walks right up in front of me, and he had like A42, and he's just like, we're all just A1 through 20, okay. And he like walks in right in front of me and goes and snags like one of the good exit seats. And I was like, oh, that son of a bitch. But luckily I still got it.
I mean, no one sat beside each other even, right? Like,
no, and that's the thing is like A1 through 30, you can guarantee yourself pretty much an exit row. You just might not be the nice exit row seat or one by yourself. But if you're limiting only one person per row because there's that few people on the plane, there are only 4 exit row seats, So you could easily miss out on it because, just it's taken up that easily. But luckily, I still got one. Not that it would matter, but I got like this nice one with nice leg room and all that stuff. And that was cool. And so on the way home, I'm A24. So now I'm knowing that they actually do board, earlier than A30, 31 for the normies out there. Because I'm A24. And I get to the airport, that flight is at like 12:15 in the afternoon or something like that. I get to the airport at the flight was at 12:50, excuse me. And I get there at about noon. And I walk up toward the gate, and the gate's just closed. There's only one gate that goes into this one at the airport I'm flying out of. And the TSA is closed. And there's a sign that says something like, we'll be back at 2:15. I was like, what? And I kind of walked back out, and I see a bunch of people sitting around. And I looked up, and I read a big sign that said, if the security checkpoint is closed, don't worry, it will be open again before your flight. Just have a seat in this area. And I look around, and there's like 6 or 7 people sitting around like outside the gate that I hadn't really paid attention to before because sometimes people are just sitting in the seats at the airport. And so I asked one of the guys sitting there, I was like, you waiting to get through security here? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, are you on the same flight back to Baltimore? And he's like, yeah, I'm on that flight too. I'm like, oh, sweet. So at least I'm in, company with, somebody who's in the same boat as I am. Yeah. I said, the sign says they're not coming back till 2:15. He goes, yeah, I know. I already talked to them about that. He's like, because that's not going to work because we'll kind of miss our flight if that's the case. He said, no, that they're, they know about the flight and they're going to be out in about 15 minutes after noon or something like that. I said, oh, okay. And then I watched it's right next to the counter. So I watched 3 or 4 different people check in for the flight at the counter and drop off bags. And I see the guy tell every single person, yeah, they're going to open the thing back up in about, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is. And open up the security checkpoints, just have a seat right in this area. So now there's 15 people that are on the same flight. We're all sitting out there outside the gate. Then 12:15 rolls around, and 12:20 rolls around, and 12:25 rolls around.
Jesus.
And some lady walks up to the counter and is like, what is going on here? We have a bunch of people here waiting for this plane. And you're not they're not opening up yet. And the guy's like, yeah, I know. They know about the flights. They know about them all. They must be getting, gathering a TSA agent to come get you guys all shortly. 12:35 rolls around. It's a 12:50 or 12:55 flight. So it's 20 minutes before takeoff time. And we're all just sitting outside.
Is this a small airport?
Relatively small, but, still it's, not that small of an airport.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there was some, oh goodness, I got myself in a bad place out here. Some flight attendants were sitting around at the gate, the Southwest counter, because they were waiting to go through because they were not flight attendants on the flight, but I guess they were taking the flight to their next spot that they had to be at. And they go back up to the counter and are what is happening here? And then the manager, or whoever's running as the manager that day, he comes out and he grabs a piece of paper and he walks over to the TSA people, or where the TSA is. He goes around the back because there's nobody there. And he comes back and he looks at them and he goes, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to double check all the paperwork, but they claim that they had no idea that there was a flight out here. So the only reason that they had to round up TSA people to come let us through, and the only reason we got on this plane and they opened up TSA is because there happened to be flight attendants that were trying to get on the flight. So they had to round up some TSA agents to let all of us through.
I wonder what would have happened if the flight y'all just missed your flight. Would it flown empty? Like, what the fuck would have happened?
I have absolutely no idea. So that was strange. And this one, for some reason, TSA pre-check mattered none at all. I had to take off belt, shoes, all that jazz. Like there was no
part of you was TSA pre-check.
No part of it was TSA pre-check on this one. But then it was even like an even emptier flight. It was like 24 people or something like that on this flight. So again, I had like this nice exit row all to myself. And
so
nice.
Were there people wearing like what was so like you go to the grocery store
on the
stuff?
way there was only like 2 of us on the plane with masks on.
Oh, so you did wear a mask?
I did wear a mask. Yeah. I'm not stupid. I know what's up. I need to wear a mask.
So you have access from your work to like the good masks, right?
Well, I'm not wearing an N95. I'm just wearing a surgical mask. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm wearing a medical grade mask, not a home mask. And most other people were wearing because people in the airport were wearing masks, but people on the plane were only wearing like the bandana type masks and all.
Right.
And the flight attendants weren't wearing it at all. And I had heard flight attendants weren't wearing masks as most of the companies don't want them to because they think it scares customers.
That's fucking stupid.
Well, I will tell you, on the way home, all the flight attendants had masks on, and they were actually Southwest branded masks. So I'm wondering if something happened over the weekend and they changed their mind and made it like mandatory at that point, or if maybe it's just an elective thing. And the one flight nobody wanted to wear them, and the last flight everybody wanted to wear them. Like I have no idea.
I was looking at masks because there's some available on Amazon, but they're not for medical use. Do not protect against any germs. It says so. Like, what the fuck's the point?
Well, I mean, does your bandana protect against?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was talking to you a minute ago about me going to the ER, and like, even when I went to Costco the other day, I want a mask, but I can't get a mask. And like everything I've read about the homemade masks, like basically, like you're saying, like they don't really do anything. So like, what's the point?
I mean, because they could do something. Like that's the deal, is they can be better than nothing.
Okay, so everything you've read that said they don't do anything is not true, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like,
it's like you fucking fear of a lawsuit all of a sudden.
Well, if you walked into a room that you realized had been like, think of gas chambers at not like the deadly ones, not like the Holocaust gas chambers. I'm like the ones at like a marine boot camp. Where they have to go in and put the gas mask on and take it off and suck in the gas and like say something before they let them out of there, so they're supposed to know what tear gas feels like and things like that.
Yeah.
If you walked into one of those rooms unknowingly, you think if you just would standing there be better than putting at least a hand over your mouth? Don't you think the hand over your mouth would probably make it slightly more bearable for a second?
Probably, yeah.
It's one of those things. I think it's more that there's a potential that it could block something. So why not?
Right.
Type of deal. Okay. And if you are the wearer of the mask and you sneeze, it can block those particulates.
Yeah.
From getting out there. So I think there is a purpose to them. I just don't think it's necessarily hey, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And that's why I still get mad at my hospital, who, even though we're wearing the medical grade masks and all, they treated it as if like the second you put on that mask, like you're immune.
Right.
And that's just not the way it fucking works. It's a barrier. It can be helpful, but if this made me immune, it would be the only protection any of the staff would ever need taking care of a COVID patient. And that's not how it works.
Right. What about gloves? Were you wearing gloves or just mask?
No, I did not wear gloves.
Okay.
And I licked my fingers the whole time.
Yeah. Did they serve drinks and snacks?
No, they did. So this actually kind of made me mad. And I didn't even realize that they weren't serving stuff anymore. I guess that's a thing, that none of the airlines are serving stuff right now.
Yeah, makes sense. I wonder if they were on first.
Well, and I wonder if they do on demand, like if you asked for something, would they give you something or not? I have no idea. But there was a flight attendant that was behind me, talking to this family that was back, that was sitting like 3 or 4 rows behind me, and they were asking her about like life as a flight attendant. This is all before the flight took off, when we were still boarding, like the couple people that they were boarding, you know. And they were like laughing and having a good old time. And she stopped, and I heard her say to them, "Hey, do you guys want any water or anything?" And they were like, "Oh no, we're good." And she's like, "Well, if anytime during the flight you need anything, just let me know." And I was like, "Oh, sweet." And then the flight attendants literally sat in their seats the entire time and didn't move. And I was like,
I guess you had to press the call button or something.
like, yeah, I don't even know if are we allowed to? Like, you hit the call button and call somebody and say, "Hey, I want I need something to drink." Like, I don't even know what officially is.
I mean, all they can do is tell you no, right? So
Sure,
it's
but
like
they
throw you out.
They got out of there. But if they got out of their seat and told me no, like, what's the point of them anymore? Like, why even need them on the flight? Are they just there literally in case something goes wrong?
Maybe there might be federal requirements, honestly, for
Yeah, I guess
staff.
there probably is federal requirements for staff.
But that's interesting. Yeah, I wonder what it's like, because I mean, Southwest, you don't get to know what it's like because they don't have a first class. But I wonder if they're still serving in first class even, or if that's also just like no snacks, no nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. It'd be interesting to find out if.
So I rebooked my cruise because
For
in August it's not going to happen. But the way I look at it, I have a period of time to use this credit. Technically it's a year, but I've looked at all the cruises they have for the next year. None of them match a time, because like this summer is based on what chance I have to take my daughter, because next year I won't have her for spring break. Not that I really got her this year for spring break.
Isn't it all spring break?
So anyways, they have one that happens on August, the start of August, that matches the kind of stuff we were already going to do, but it's more expensive. Like I had to pay an additional $1,500. But you know, they gave me 150% credit from my original one. But I really don't think that this will happen in August either.
Will they give you 150% credit on the next one?
That's what I think will happen. And that's why I went ahead and booked it now on one that would match what we want to do, and a time when I have my daughter. But I strongly feel like it'll end up being canceled. But if it does, then I'm up to like almost $10,000 in Disney cruise credit.
Yeah.
So like if it happens, you know, if that happens, then the next time I get to rebook, I can get like a concierge fucking thing or something. I don't know. So yeah, I literally don't think it'll happen, but I did rebook it. But the reason why I brought this up is I looked at flights just to see. And when I'd booked our flights, well, I didn't have to book a flight for me because I was going to be at Extra Life United. But when I booked my daughter's flight and stuff, it was way cheaper to fly into Orlando for one thing, which worked out because I was going to be in Orlando because of Extra Life United. But now it's way cheaper to fly into Miami than to Orlando for some reason. So a round trip for us to go to Miami the day of the cruise is $90 each. So
pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good price. Hell First is only like $300, but I'm not gonna spend that it's only like an hour and a half flight anyways.
It's heard the weirdest noise in the world.
Some of the cave sounds they've added to this game are very strange.
I'm like in the middle of the ocean trying to swim to find a cave, and it was like bijou, bijou. I'm like lasered sound. Like I don't see anything around me. That was weird. It'd be interesting if like a giant company like Disney after all this was just like, you know what? We had a good run.
I mean,
shut down showed us that families are more important.
Some of the rumors I've read say that they're kind of gearing up to not open the parks again this year.
But do they even normally close in the winter?
No, they don't ever close. Disney's
that's why
only been closed like 4 times in history.
I heard like the busiest time at Disney is Thanksgiving.
Huh. I didn't know that. I'm surprised it's not Christmas because they do a huge Christmas show.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, any holiday's good at Disney, really, because they do something for all of them. But yeah, I feel like there is no slow time at Disney, honestly. Every time I've gone, no matter what month it is, they're very busy. So I can't imagine how much money they're not making per day. Maybe not so much losing. I called.
I mean, they could be losing. It all depends on what are they doing with their employees. Are they one of those companies that's actually like trying to pay out their employees?
Yeah, they still were for the most part, not 100% as far as I know, but for the most part, they were still trying to keep all their cast members happy. When I called today, because I thought I had to call to use my credit. I didn't realize it was something that they had put it in the website. I found that out when I was waiting for a cast member to talk to me. But it said there was a PSA before you even got into the hold queue, and it was like, all of our cast members are currently working from home. So if you hear a dog barking or some kids playing, don't worry. That's just part of the new experience.
Are there igloos in this game?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just found one, and I've never seen it before. And it scares me a little bit because it's got a redstone torch in it.
It's got a treasure underneath it, too.
What? Treasure?
Yeah, treasure.
Like how far underneath it?
I don't remember.
Wait, here's a trap door. But it didn't lead me to anything. I mean, I guess it's possible somebody's already seen and raided this igloo for the treasure.
Maybe. Is there a hole dug? I think
No.
you could like dig in the center or something.
Okay, yeah, there was no holes dug in this thing at all. There was a way into it from the side, though, without actually getting into the igloo itself. So it's possible. But, oh.
Look it up.
Got to be pretty far down if...
Hold on, I'm reading. These are structures that naturally generated in snowy biomes. They're round structures, primary snow blocks. In half of all igloos, an oak trapdoor can be found under the carpet.
Found the oak trapdoor.
The third white carpet straight ahead from the doorway, leading down a long ladder shaft into a basement.
Well, there was no ladder.
This passageway and basement are built from stone brick, some of which are infested blocks. In this basement, there's a brewing stand, a cauldron, a chest, and beyond the far wall, behind iron bars, in 2 different cages, are plains/snowy villagers and a plain/zombie villager. The zombie villager can be cured with a golden apple, blah, blah, blah.
There was none of this stone brick exists, so I'm assuming this is a dud.
Yeah, it's only half of them, apparently.
But it had the oak door.
Huh.
Well then, Mr. Igloo.
Sir Igloo.
You mean nothing to me, Sir Igloo. Now I don't remember which way I came from either. Crap. Oops. Fell through one of those snow shelves.
So now that you've seen your wife and kids, when are they coming home?
Possibly next Wednesday.
Is it still basically up in the air because of the sister?
Yeah, she didn't really want to come back. And I mean, it's one of those things where the kids clearly have a lot. So in Ohio, where we were at, we went to some parks, and people are allowed in parks over there as long as you're not like congregating. So there were some people on like a family on the baseball field, like hitting around baseball. There was some another family playing like soccer in the soccer field. We went out to another corner in the field and we're like flying a kite. Like you're allowed to be in the parks and stuff there as long as it's not crazy. Whereas in like DC, you have to walk through them. You can go through them, but you can't stop in them.
I don't know what the law is here.
Yeah, the kids definitely still have a lot more to do.
Yeah,
there, and the neighbor behind them has like a whole like kids playground area, and their kids are like grown and past that stage. So they said that they can come over and use it anytime. They hop the fence and go play in their little playground with the tire swing and all that stuff. So
that's cool.
They have a big fenced in backyard anyway. So there's a lot more.
So they should just live there forever.
Well, honestly, I think it's making my wife think that Suburbia has its pleasures for sure.
I mean, I as someone who lives, in rural America, I could never live where you live. I couldn't do it.
Well,
died
and I
from
used
anxiety.
I used to say the same thing. I never wanted to live in DC for very long, and look at me now. I'm still here. So I grew up in the country, 10 acres, dirt road.
Right.
So I see the positives of both city living and residential living. So I could kind of go either way. But my job right now,
Right.
jobs
Yeah.
are a thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, you make a lot more money, but I mean, so you make more money, but the cost of living is so much higher. Like, couldn't you
True.
get a job somewhere where the cost of living is much lower, make less money, and it all work out?
Sure. And it's really interesting because as a nurse, you can kind of go anywhere.
Yeah.
As a nursing informaticist, especially a director of nursing informatics like I am, the jobs are few and far between.
Really?
Like, keep in mind, nurses at my hospital, number of nurses 2,000, number of nursing informaticists 7, number of nursing informatics directors me.
Well, yeah, I guess that's one of those jobs where you kind of work up into it, don't you? But you need the degree.
Yeah. You need the degree, you need the experience. I got hired into my job long before a normal person would have into a director position. It was kind of like all about who I know. The nice thing is I have experience under my belt now, but still those jobs don't open up very often.
Right. Because
that's the thing you got to look at.
In that position, he's not going anywhere.
Right. And that's why the only place I have to go anymore for expansion in my facility or my hospital system is to the chief nursing informatics officer, who's my boss. That job won't open up until my boss leaves. Who knows when that's going to be? I may be able to stay at my job and outlast her and then be the lucky one that they hire into that job. But that's the only place I really have to go staying in informatics.
What kind of salary boost would that be?
I don't know. So that's the thing. People are very hush about their salaries in a lot of ways. And I think that's really bad it's bad for people and good for businesses.
Yeah.
Is what that really comes down to.
Right.
But so I don't know if she makes 200 plus or if she's making similar to what I am. Because it's interesting because my hospital pays more than most of the hospitals in our system. But it's because we're one of the few downtown DC hospitals. We're DC proper. You have to pay, that, cost of living compared to the hospitals that are in my system that are in Baltimore. There's a huge difference with the cost of living there. So salary wise, I make a lot more money than my counterpart at one of those Baltimore facilities. I can't guarantee I do because they've been there for many, 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 many years. I'm the newest informatics director in the system still, and I've been there for over 5 years now.
Gotcha.
So that tells you something about the turnover of this type of job. It's not much, but she could, since she works in Columbia, as where a corporate office is, which is between DC and Baltimore. But the cost of living is a lot less. I don't know though if that cost of living means that she's getting paid similar to what I am, or if she's making. My guess would be that she's making 200 plus, but I could be way off base on that. You look up Glassdoor.com, CNIOs range anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000. So it's just this astronomical change that you're I don't know how to judge this anymore. Right. What's real?
Well, we probably should stop this episode here. Hope everyone has enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.